Oh, and we're back live again. Almost dropped the camera on my face. However, it was fixed. I saved it and we're good to go. Back for another Sunday episode of Ask Someone Else. As always, we're going to have a special guest and I'm very excited. This is somebody that I haven't actually got to speak to in person yet, but I'm very excited to speak to. Now, let me just invite them. So, whilst we wait for them to join and actually let us talk properly, because clearly I've been enjoying a very relaxing Sunday, just remind you of what today's all about. So Ask Someone Else Sundays, effectively what we do is we get to talk to a different industry expert, somebody in the property field, about their experience. Charlotte, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm very well, thank you. You've frozen for a second, but hopefully, I think we can see you now.
That better?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Perfect. So I was saying, I was very excited to have you on. Ironically, we're going to be meeting up on the 9th of December, right?
Yeah, at Tej's property event in London, yeah.
I know, so is that your first one speaking?
It is actually, yeah.
Are you excited?
I think so. I think you're going to lead it, aren't you? You just do most of the talking and I'll just fill it.
I don't know. I think, to be fair, it doesn't matter how many guests Tej has got on, somehow he manages to always do the most of the talking, so we'll be fine.
Yeah, he's good at it though, isn't he? So we've got to give him that.
He is indeed. So, for those that don't know, could we get a little introduction about yourself?
Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm Charlotte and I am accidental female developer on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to just go straight into it?
I think, do you know what? I think, because normally you're right, I do a lot of talking, but when I think I first came across you on one of your reels, and I was like, this reel's great. I think I messaged you, and I was like, that's amazing. But then when you actually told me your story, I was like, that's, the story, that everything that's happened and what you've kind of overcome and what you've turned around is so amazing. I think I'd just like to hear it from you.
Okay. I'm getting kind of used to telling this story now. When I first used to tell it, I used to have a bit of a lump in my throat, but now the more I talk about it, there's kind of more, the easier it comes out. But so 2 years ago now, I lost my brother and my dad, both with cancer. Both were really young, fit, healthy, and it just came out of nowhere. My brother was 28 and my dad was 68, and they both died within a few months of each other. Different types of cancer, but it took them both down. And they ran a family business, property development business, and they just bought this field with planning permission for 25 units, and yeah, before they died. And so kind of me and my mum were left with this field. There was bank finance out against it. I think Brexit had happened and then COVID was just about to happen. So I had to learn how to build houses pretty quickly. And I was a marketing manager before that. So yeah, that's how I stumbled into property development.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for most people, obviously, firstly, to start off with, I think everybody would offer you their condolences, because that's, something to deal with, in such a short space of time with everything else going on in the world. And for you, I think what's most admirable is that a lot of people would have just said, do you know what, there's too much going on, and let me maybe just walk away from the property. Let me just kind of just get my head down, focus on other things. But I think the fact that you actually still said, you know what, this is something they've started, and you wanted to then take up the reins to go ahead and see it through, I think that's amazing. I mean, at any point, did you consider selling up? Did that ever cross your mind?
It did cross my mind, yeah. But it was difficult because I think because of Brexit, and then like the housing market wasn't like it is now. Like, you know, it wasn't like things weren't selling as quickly, and because then COVID struck pretty soon afterwards, like within a couple of months of them passing away. People were like, sites were shutting down, like people were down, like things, people weren't out looking for like new land or new sites, or so it was kind of like, I think we're gonna have to build this one out, because again, like the bank were in touch going, is everything okay, like you repayments, and like yeah fine, everything's fine, we'll carry on. And so yeah, I guess because I was in marketing as well, and those places, the places that I was working in, started shutting down, like because they were office environments, everyone was going to work from home, and I was employed as well. So I was thinking, well, it looks like I'm going to be out of work anyway, so may as well like give this a go. Also, when you're grieving, I think it gives you something to focus on. Like my mum would say that as well, bless her. My mum's like come out of retirement to like go straight into full-time work, and she's been like working so hard with me, like getting all this done, and it gives you something to focus on when you're grieving. And you know, it's yeah.
Well, again, yeah, just I mean, everybody anyway would agree that like that, as you know, whilst let alone like the grieving side, like as a first project, 25 anything, let alone 25 new builds, let alone dealing with it during Brexit and COVID and prices going up for build costs, material shortages, and even, you know, even just trying to get into a project that's not necessarily half started, but you didn't have the time to plan in advance. Like you sort of just had to just take the reins and be like, okay, I've got to kind of make this plan on the fly. So then I guess, where did you kind of like start? Did you have the build team in place already? Had anything actually started, or?
There was, I think there was a couple of like pads on the ground, basically, concrete. I didn't even know what they were called then. I was like, what? I didn't even know. Just, but basically, like the footings had been dug and some concrete had been poured. That was it. On a couple of the plots, and I think that's like to keep the planning permission live.
Yeah. So you have to start the works.
That was it. Yeah, so there was no like site office. There was no toilet facilities. There was no. Literally just a muddy field. And actually one of the first visits that we got was from HSE, the health and safety executive. I don't know if you on any of your projects, but like the last people you want to see when you start.
Yeah.
Like, they go everything with a fine-tooth comb, and then we got a fine because we didn't have the right welfare facilities, and then once they visited you, you're on the radar then.
It's like day one of like starting a business, and then HMRC coming out and saying, right, you've got an audit. And you're like, I don't even know what you're auditing at this point. I just thought, I just don't, and I didn't have the guts to say to them, look, this is what's happened. this is my first day on the site. I've never. I was just like playing along, going, oh yeah, okay then, I'll sort that out. Yeah, that's going on here. Just playing along. I just think like if you actually told them the truth. Yeah, and you sort of never know which way it would have gone if you told them the truth, if they would have been more amenable to say, okay, you know, we're going to give you some time, or if they would have been kind of like panic stations, like, well, we don't know what else is going to be wrong now, and they could have even been sort of more.
Yeah, so I actually love about that. I ended up going and doing a health and safety course, like a 5-day course, and like got that over with. So like now my health and safety is absolutely on point, like all the paperwork's done, everything. So they've been back five times they visited. Wow. In the years. So
they like you. I mean, you can just take that as, you know, they must like you. I got this new thing on. Oh, thank you, Goldman Blacks. We have badges now, so people can donate if they're enjoying the stream, I guess it's called. So this is fun. So thank you very much for that. I think with your story, because you know what, most people that I speak to, we're just talking general property. Oh, like, where did you start? Like, oh, I had a buy to let. But with you, I'm lost a little bit of where to ask questions, because there was so much you know, that you were dealing with at once. And obviously there's the you know, the main obvious, you know, things that would be the hardest. But I guess, you know, I think one thing that you said quickly is that you quickly sort of didn't shy away from problems. So you had a problem with health and safety, and the first thing was, okay, I need to go and get educated. I need to realize how that I can stop this being a problem for the future. And I think that's really good advice. Even if you're not building 25 houses, even if you're starting with your first rent-to-rent HMO, like understanding the compliance from day one. And if you do have an issue, actually looking for a solution as opposed to shying away from it. And I guess that work ethic is something that really helped you sort of see this project through. So after health and safety turned up, what was sort of your next steps into, was there any more education that you embarked on yourself?
No, do you know what? I tried to. I thought, because I'm a person that's come from traditional education, I went to university and stuff, and I thought, do you know what? There must be a course for this, being a property developer.
Yeah.
I'd go to the local construction college and like find out like what course I can do. And so I spoke to quite a few different groups, like different like property groups and whatever else, like official sort of college type ones rather than the Instagram type. And funny, they wouldn't let me on because I hadn't got 6 months experience. So you need 6 months experience to actually do an officially like recognized like a CITB course. So that didn't work. So I actually did end up just turning to Instagram then, and actually that's how I came across yourself, people like Tag, and just educated myself via YouTube and Instagram and started reaching out to people. And
yeah, I think that is what is amazing about this generation that we're currently living in, that don't get me wrong, there's a lot of rubbish information out there as well, but if you're willing to take the time and sift through it, there's also so much good information, so many good people that you can network with, that you can sort of bounce ideas off, that can be a sounding board. That, because in property, and again, like, because a lot of the people that follow me potentially, you know, are just starting out with their first deal or their first property, and you know, but even with that, there's so many, you know, small issues that sound so personal, like I must be the only person going through this. But having conversations and building a network of people that you can actually talk to, and be like, I don't know what to do, and they can be like, oh, I've been through that.
Yeah, Instagram, because at the time as well, like I'm a single mum, so I was at home kind of on my own with 2 kids. I talked to them about what was going on, too little, and then it was lockdown, so you couldn't go out and socialise, you couldn't network, you couldn't do anything. So I was literally just turned to Instagram and started following people and having conversations with people. And then as I've got more confident, I've started to put more content out as well. But yeah, that was the only way.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there was definitely during lockdown. I think now I'm starting to slowly meet some people that I've been speaking to on Instagram for sort of the last 12 to 18 months. And now that we're coming out of lockdown, there's networking events, it's good to actually see those. But definitely, I think that is some A1 advice for anybody that is looking to sort of hone their trade and sort of understand things a little bit more. Just follow the right people, engage with them, try and have conversations where you can do. There's things like this. There's stuff like Clubhouse where you can just engage with different people that are doing similar things. So we're now 20, is it 2 years? 2 years on, or
not what? Yeah, about almost 2 years. Yeah, I think I started in January, so yeah, 2 years.
So 2 years on, and again, make sure if you haven't already, go and check out it's Accidental Female Developer. Is that right?
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, check it out. You can see the progress. The progress looks absolutely amazing. I think. How far have you got now with the project?
I think there's one, two. There's only one that's got to come out of the ground. So all the kind of some state of like being up. So we're nearly there. But probably I'd say about another 6 months work, getting all the ground, finishing off, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's meant to be a 2-year project. Probably 6 months longer than what.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just a way of building. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Everything's meant to be a something project. And also, I don't know if you found this, but at the beginning, did you find everything sort of seemed to be flying for a little while to the point where you thought, oh, I'm going to finish this even quicker? Or how did you find it at the beginning?
always feel like that, but every time you come to the house, it's always a last minute rush. Like people like silicone in the doorways, or they're carrying their sofa over the door. Do you know what I mean? Like just finishing, paint's still wet, and you're thinking, oh, I don't lean against that wall.
Yeah. I think that there's always, because we always want to finish as quickly as possible, whether it's because of finance costs, whether it's because we've got something else we want to buy, something else we're looking at, or other pressures that we're always sort of trying to juggle. And we've always got sort of so many plates spinning, but we want to keep them all going to be as productive as possible. I think
with trade, though, if you that house has got 2 weeks, they will wait until like day 13 to and then do the work. They're like, oh, it hasn't got to be, you know, they're moving in on Friday, so they think, oh, that's all right, then we'll finish the job on Friday morning.
Yeah.
Like the mentality of the trades, like, it's okay because you said I've got 2 weeks, so I'll just do it on the last day that I've got. Yeah,
and I think particularly because coming from sort of marketing, there's a lot more corporate, where you think, well, if there's a problem, I'll just CC in your manager. And yeah, in the building world, that just doesn't work.
No? Oh, you don't check those? Okay. Yeah, fine.
Yeah. So I think it's always a learning curve. I said, when I first started out developing, I felt like, you know, I was probably 20% a developer, and about the other 80% was a personal assistant for all of the various trades, just making sure everybody was where they said they're going to be, when they said they're going to be there, and that they've got the right stuff they needed to finish the job.
Yeah, that's it. I feel like I'm a bit of I call myself the gopher. Like,
yeah,
I just help them do their jobs. So the cleaners didn't turn up the other day, so carpets needed to be fitted. So who's going to clean it? None of them. Like,
yeah,
cleaning for a whole day, like getting ready for the carpet. So I just do whatever needs doing, get the job done. And
I think that's really important. Sometimes people, you know, because a lot of people get into property as an aftermath of being successful in another field. So potentially come into property with quite, I don't know if ego is the right word, but like, well, I've made money now, so I just want to go and make money. But, you know, people always ask me, oh, do I have a trade, or did I, you know, where did I sort of start with? And even when I couldn't do anything, like I couldn't paint like the other people could paint, I couldn't plaster, I couldn't tile, but I would just be on site, and whether that meant me being the labourer and me just literally, oh, the electrician's just cutting and leaving little offcuts everywhere, let me just sweep after him, because you have this void of, well, that's not my problem, that's not my problem. If somebody doesn't make it their problem, then it just can sort of spiral.
I've bought myself my own little brush and dustpan, like, because I thought,
nah, I've been there. You just feel like you're just walking behind them. Just, yeah, no worry, just crack on, because you have to think about, at the end of the day, you're paying experts and specialists to do a specialist job, and I can't go and do the electrics, I can't go and do the plumbing. However, what I can do is make sure that you're as efficient as possible. And obviously, going forward, you know, you kind of want to systemize it to make sure that's not the case. But whilst you're still learning, like, it's a means to an end. You could sit there and complain and be like, right, that's it. You know, if it's not tidy, I'm docking this, or I'm doing that, or X, Y, or Z. But in a practical sense, how well that really works, and you kind of look at it, we've got end goals, that we just want the house finished or the project finished. So I think sometimes the means to an end, but definitely I think sort of trying to detract slightly from the ego element is really important, particularly when starting up.
Yeah, and I think like there's a misconception as well that sort of property development is quite glamorous and stuff. And
oh no, I've been confused for homeless.
All right, because people might see you go on some nice holidays, or you've got a decent. Jesus Christ, like we do a lot to earn that.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I would say yours might be slightly different just because of the scale you started at, but every developer that I spoke to on their first project, they were using their personal car to carry, you know, the sand and cement, the last, we just need 3 bags of sharp sand. Like, I'm going to go, because if by the time I let you go, come back with the team, you stop for coffee on the way there, that's 4 people that have left the job for half the day.
Yeah, you just can't have it.
Exactly.
It's better me to go off and get like bags of cement or whatever, leave them there, because at least they've actually got some kind of valuable skill. They can be like, whereas me, I'll go get the cement, like, just you stay here and carry on with.
Stay there, because you're not leaving. I need you to finish this. I think, let me see again, for those that have questions, if you use the question box, we can get those up so everyone can try and get some value, or at least see the question. What am I doing? You can't receive questions. Okay. So, sorry, the first question was, what have you found to be the biggest learning curve during this project or since becoming the accidental female developer?
Oh, um, money management. Like that's what business is all about at the end of the day, isn't it? It's managing.
Cash is king, cash flow.
I used to get like anxiety of £100 overdrawn, you know, like in my corporate days.
Yeah.
It just goes out in six figures every month. It's like, almost like a joke. Like, uneven out, you know, when I first started, I couldn't sleep at night thinking about all the costs that are going out. Luckily, 3/4 of the way through the project now, you start, you know, you're into profit.
Yeah.
You know, you go a year without any money in the bank. So you're in the minuses. So I'd say the money management and just getting over that initial fear of being in debt as well.
Yeah. I think, you touched on two really important things there. One being kind of the fear of debt, because there is a concept of good debt and, you know, cheap debt, and that you've got to spend money to make money. But at the same time, I think, you know, planning is also, you know, like ridiculously imperative. So if you're in a fortunate situation where you can actually plan in advance and you can do your cash flow forecasting, so even if you're sitting day one with $1 million in the bank and you know that, okay, look, by month 9, this is going to be down to 100,000, at least you're not panicking because you're on track of what's supposed to happen. When you've got no idea of, you know, when you're supposed to spend money or how much at what stage and how much you need left to finish the project, it can be ridiculously scary because, for like you said, for potentially for up to 2 years, you're just seeing money come out without, you know, thinking about, okay, when's this coming back in?
I know it is. It's really scary. It was COVID, and then I remember like Boris Johnson announcing that nobody could move house or go and look at houses, and I was like, shit. Like I'm so like this is not good.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like, okay, but it could have gone either way. It really could have.
But I think that's also what it is. A lot of mindset stuff is, look, like you can only worry about stuff that you can have an impact on. So if, you know, that you see sort of something from a national level to do with COVID or to do with anything like a change in legislation, you're not going to be able to reverse that legislation or change what the current COVID guidelines are, for example. So all you can really do is just, you know, keep going, kind of focus on your own bubble, almost internalize it, and just be as prepared as possible for whatever may be coming.
Yeah, that's so true. And I definitely changed a mindset as well. Just, totally changed my everything, really, my outlook on everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, every time, I mean, I don't like, obviously you told the story once for people that were here early on, but it's just for everything that you know, you've gone through and overcome, to remain so positive, to actually deal with it. Because I think, you know, 90% of people would have just said, this is too much. Like, I can't deal with this now. It's just something else that, you know, I'm not in a place mentally to sort of take on. But the fact that you did, I get that, you know, you said it was a great distraction, you know, because it gave you something to focus on. And also, I guess it's almost like, because it was something that they wanted to do, I'm sure that helped a lot, because obviously you're fulfilling, you know, your sort of that, the family goal of actually completing this project, which I'm sure must be amazing as well for you.
Yeah, it's nice to see. It is really nice to see. And obviously, like the family business, it's still got my dad's name, you know, site that he'd put up there, you know, to start with. And it's nice to see that finished. I mean, I'm sure he probably wouldn't be happy with the way I've done it, like, because he was my dad, so he just wouldn't be with it. So, mistakes, like, he would have told me off so much for all the mistakes. But, you know, at the end of the day, we've got the same outcome. We finished.
And that's it. Like, you know, I think as a entrepreneur, as a property developer, investor, businesswoman, whichever sort of box you want to put yourself into, I think you highlighted something. I think it was in a recent post that you did, or a conversation with Tej, and it was just like, look, 25 houses later, 200 mistakes later. But, you know, each of those mistakes are just a learning curve, something that you'll either know that I will do or won't do again, or somebody that you will or won't deal with, or the way in which, you know, something that you're going to learn from. And I think that's what's important for everybody that's on their journey as an entrepreneur or a property investor or a business owner. that, you know, there are going to be setbacks. Some are going to be massive, some are going to be tiny, but you have to take each of them as like a lesson to learn from and move forward with, as opposed to hold you back.
Yeah, I think when people say like, what is your job as a property developer? What do you actually do every day? Or like, it's just problem solving, whatever it may be, whether it's financial or whether it's technical issues on the site. It's just problem solving all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely is a lot. There's a lot of firefighting, and then, but I guess that's when, and I think I remember having a conversation with the hard hat developers, and they were saying one thing that they benefited from COVID and a potential slowdown was actual almost like business sort of reconciliation. So taking the time to step back and say, do you know what, let's slow down for a little while and let's actually plan going forward, so that potentially, you know, going forward projects can run a little bit smoother. Obviously, we say everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face when you're fighting. I think that's exactly the same with property development. Everybody's got a plan until you start, you know, digging your foundations, and then, you know, all sorts of things come up. But definitely planning as much as possible is always beneficial.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I didn't get a chance to plan for this one. Like, it just got sort of like, just on me. But next project, so well planned.
That's what I like to hear. So what, I mean, are you thinking about your next project at this stage, or are you?
That's the other thing with development, right? You've got to have stuff in the pipeline, because I'm thinking, guys employed now. I've got kind of like one of each trade, so electrician, a plumber, carpenter, you know, a couple of brickies. I'm thinking, okay, I can see now that come to an end in 6 months. I need something. I don't want to lose them. I need something to move them on to keep them.
I think that's
got a couple of other little smaller projects, but still carry on with.
But I think, yeah, that's super key as well, because people, you know, there's a popular phrase that gets thrown around, which is that dream team. Like, and whether that be your build team, whether that be your architects, your solicitors, just other property developers to help you bounce ideas off with. But once you find good people, you've got to nurture them and you've got to keep them busy, because if you find, like you said, you're good brickies and you don't have any work for them, unfortunately they're not just going to sit on their hands. They're going to have to go and find work, and they have to make money, because everybody does. So I think it is that pipeline of making sure you've got ongoing projects is super important.
Yeah, I think people forget about you as well. I think like if you've like took 6 months off, 12 months off, soon like somebody else would come on the scene, like you'd soon get forgotten. I feel like you're driving forward all the time with new projects. Yeah.
And even if they haven't forgotten about you, like they could quickly be tied up in a 6-month project and be like, look, I can't do anything for now. And you've only got a couple of months to start your new project that you've got in the pipeline. So I definitely think working on that pipeline, and, you know, as much as we both mentioned, a lot of property development is firefighting and dealing with the here and now, you do have to sometimes be able to take that step back and not just work like in the business where we're there with our brush, and actually realize, you know what, as much as we're not as, you know, we're pretty good with a dustpan and brush, we're probably a lot better when it comes to more top level stuff of planning. And I think,
like, that's ideally what you'd want to be doing all day.
Yeah, literally. In an ideal world, sounds fun. But yeah, literally from a top level as a property developer, you'd want to be doing, you know, deal appraisals, site appraisals, finding out what's next, building out a pipeline, potentially having a deal that's, you know, got planning already, with something else that's potentially you're waiting on planning, with something with an option. So you've got all these different things that at any given point, you've got something that you can quickly exercise and start with to keep yourself busy, to keep your money working just as hard. Because even if your team was like, look, we're happy and we're going to wait, if you end up finishing your project, cashing out and having that money sitting in the bank, if it's sitting in the bank for a year, you know, it's currently being eroded by inflation, interest rates are at an all-time low, and the value of your own money is going down as well. So I think, yeah, definitely planning for the future is key as well.
Yeah, I mean, decision not to sell the last 2 houses on the site, because I kind of spoke to the bank manager and I was like, what's the point of, once you're in profit, then what's the point of having that money in the bank? Might as well keep those 2 houses, because they're going up in value and my money's going down. So that's what we made that decision, not to actually sell the last few houses on the site.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense. So what do you think? Like, what type of project are you looking at for your next one, or what are you sort of considering doing next?
Bit different. So, a couple of barns,
Hmm.
a couple of barns. And then there's a separate site, but it's like a farmyard site. It's going to be like rustic, rural, kind of high spec country houses. So
I feel like you might get to have more fun with those as well, a little bit.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think like there's smaller sites, like there's this, it's 5 and 2, so it's manageable. I'll be able to kind of put more time and attention into them, like spec them out a bit. And what I do, I don't think you do this, but what I do at the moment is the customers choose their own interior fitting.
Okay.
Like sometimes they choose them and you're like, oh no. We've had like yellow carpets,
Ooh.
we've had blue bathroom. Like I just, sometimes you think you spend ages getting a house really nice.
And then somebody comes and puts in a blue bathroom with yellow carpets, and it looks like bananas in pajamas.
They did, yeah, they did.
That's crazy. But I guess it's, again, everything is a USP. So the fact that you have properties that people can bespoke and they can choose their finish, they can basically choose their second fix, means that, also you're effectively selling off plan. So you've got, these people that are buying in advance. You're kind of, in terms of cash flow, you're hoping to nurture your cash flow as well.
Yeah, although do you know what? It doesn't feel like that. I feel like if I hadn't have sold off plan, I'd be better off because prices have gone up, materials have gone up, the price
Yeah.
and were like, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, 12 months ago. So I feel like now I've learned from that and they'll.
But I think everything is sort of almost like about, like at that point in time, we didn't know where the market was going to go. Like you said, we were at the beginning of Brexit. I think truly we haven't really seen the impact of Brexit because we don't really understand it as yet.
Yeah.
COVID kind of was ridiculously scary, still very scary in terms of the impacts. But, at that point in time, it was the fear of the unknown. So I think a lot of what you did was really smart. And I would have done exactly the same thing because effectively it was risk mitigation at that point in time. It's like the old saying, what is it? A bird in the hand is worth two in the sky. So
Yeah.
you could have easily said, I could get more, but who knows? And what if you couldn't and then were stuck with, maybe all of the properties and you had to try and, last minute you could have been forced almost to take semi sort of duress sales because you had to pay back a lender, for example.
No, that's absolutely right. So like all these things, like these are all the decisions that were going around in my head at the time. I had to make those decisions. Yeah, I think you make the decision that's right at the time.
Yeah.
Whole thing, but
Yeah, like, hindsight sounds great. It's great to sound like and say, oh, I could have, like, I think the longer you're in development, the more you see like that you regret every house that you sold and you regret you basically, because of the way the market goes, in an ideal world, you would have kept everything because everything kept on going up in value. And, oh, do you know what? Now in hindsight, we could have got an extra 2 plots over here or an extra flat there. But the reality is, it sounds great to say that, okay, yeah, I could have, would have, should have done all of this stuff. But then that barn site that you just mentioned or the conversions, those sites may not have happened as quickly and they may end up being way more profitable in terms of your return on investment. So I think you always just...
Yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, being able to turn it over quickly and move on to the next thing, like this that as well. And obviously that's how the big house builders work. They're just like, they're selling off plan left, right and centre. Quickly, they just want to move on to the next site and they're volume builders.
It is, because a lot of it is like, we have to kind of, that you touched on with when you spoke about pipeline, is what the big home builders are looking at all the time is they're looking at their annualized return on investment or annualized return on capital employed, because it's great to do something, quickly, but if you're not in and out quickly and then end up with an extra 6 months, although we both may have made the same money, if you made it, like if you took 50% longer, then you're 50% less efficient. And if you've got investors involved that potentially are shareholders, then, they're not going to be as happy. So I think, yeah, definitely sometimes it's just all about your attitude towards risk as well. Because some people would much rather take the risk and say, look, okay, you know what, I want to try and sell everything for maximum value. And it could work out perfectly, or it could go completely left.
Yeah, and I know house builders as well, like around here, kind of the similar size that do that. like massively, sell it for like probably 50, between 50 and 100 grand, perhaps more than I would sell these houses selling. But they take longer to sell.
Mm-hmm.
They take a while because they're waiting for somebody with more money to come along and appreciate that finish. I think it works well in like London and, you know, the bigger cities. I live quite rurally around here, kind of West Midlands. It's different. We're getting a lot of money from South coming up. 75% of the houses that I've built, it's money from down south. People have downsized.
Were they mostly owner occupiers, or did you get many investors?
No, all as well. I'd say kind of. Ooh, I don't want to insult anyone, but like probably 60 and over.
Okay.
Yeah, older, like selling their 1-bed, 2-bed flats down south.
Yeah.
And a 4-bed detached house for like between 350, detached garage, and like living that country life.
Yeah, nice. I mean, it's crazy. Even in like sort of South, like even in London, like, you know, there's so many places in London where sort of zone 3 and zone 4, you're still looking at, you know, £500,000 for a 2-bedroom flat. So people are just going to sort of, you know, Greater London, the outskirts, sort of around the M25 sort of way, and they're picking up a detached house for the same thing. So you'll see a lot of people doing that. Have a lot of conversations with people that are looking to downsize and are just looking at, you know, particularly with transport links becoming more efficient as well, with your HS2s and your Crossrails, that it works for a lot of people.
Got a lot of my friends now, they just work from home, you know, so as long as you've got, make sure we put in the high speed broadband, like there's so many people working from home, but then all the people that have bought these tend to be retired, so they're not really. But
it's a balance though. Definitely the house market like is super buoyant, because a lot of people were now, whereas before they would take the trade-off because they had to go into the office, so would pay an extra 100,000 for a flat because it means they've got a half an hour commute rather than now. And now they're working from home, they would rather the free 4-bedroom house with the extra room to use as a home office, spend more time at home. So I think particularly as a developer or as anybody involved in the property space, really understanding what your end user wants. So potentially, you know, if you're looking at, you know, a site that someone's like, oh, you could get maybe 20 flats versus 8 houses, kind of looking at what the trade-off is and, you know, who you think your actual end user or your end buyer is going to be and what they would want.
No, absolutely, yeah, and it is like very much dependent on the area that you're in. Like the area I'm in, it's like it's very rural, it's very quiet. It does tend to be kind of either people moving back, families moving back from the city. They've gone family back and have a 3-4 bed house, or they're retiring and they want it. That's low maintenance and, you know, ready to move into and quiet. That's what they're looking for. That's my market.
That is good. I mean, like I said, your story, there's actually a few, whilst we've got you, I'll ask a few of the questions that a couple of people have asked. So Sadie in property has asked, how did you find balancing motherhood with property development? Well,
when down in COVID, I actually was taking them on the site and like hiding them in like good job health and safety.
Exactly. Good that we blocked them on Instagram. It's all right, they're not it.
Having them in the site office with me, and then if anyone important turned up, I was like, right, somebody here, you're gonna have to get in the car. Like I was like hiding them in the boot of the van and like hiding them in the car, like just quiet. Like that was a nightmare. It's so much easier now the schools are open. I'm so grateful. But yeah, it's difficult, and they're not interested at all. You know, if you try and get them excited about property, like, oh, do you want to come and see what I'm doing? No.
How old are they now?
7 and 10.
Okay. I mean, you'll see. I'm sure you'll see. Like, they're getting to that cusp of an age where it could potentially be more. But also because they've grown up in it now, they might have just got more used to it, and they're just thinking, oh, that just means that's a time I can't go and play whatever I wanted to play with, because I've got to go down to the site again. Yeah,
that's it. They hate it. Like, no, not the site again.
But I think that's it. Everything is a trade-off. Like, there's a means to an end, because they're gonna super appreciate it in the coming years. You know, all that hard work.
Guys, this is like an opportunity for you to like do really well when you're older. You can get into this. You know, you could work with me. Like, you know, just no, not interested. They want to be you. Jazzy.
That's funny. Let me have a look at another question. So we kind of already answered that question from Abs, which was sort of what's next for you. Abs has also asked, are you enjoying what you're doing?
You know what? I absolutely love it. And it's funny because, like, when my dad was around and running the business, I used to say to him, oh, maybe I'll like come and join, like, you're going to need somebody to take over this. Maybe I'll come and join you in the business. And he just went, it's not for you. Like it's just not a place for women on the building side. He goes, you'll hate it. And I actually absolutely love it. I mean, saying that now, like I'm feeling it. Like I'm wearing like 2 pairs of trousers.
It's Long John season at the moment.
Like, it's so cold.
My trainers, like health and safety wouldn't like my trainers either, but do not cut it. Like sack boots are absolutely key because I've got bad circulation and my toes are freezing. But I think what's great as well about this is, you know, for a lot of people, there is, even for myself, there's kind of an established face of what a property developer looks like, and it could be like an older sort of white middle-aged man. So
like we know.
People having, like us having these conversations, I think are really important because they're going to inspire, you know, a whole new breed of property developers and investors that are hopefully going to come and do way better than anything we've done and just come and smash it and do amazing things as well.
Definitely. Like I still have people turn up on site and they're like, oh, excuse me, looking for the man in charge. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, wow, you're looking at him. Yeah.
No, absolutely that. And I think, but that's also a good feeling as well, to just be able to just be like, yeah, it's me. Sorry.
I said, I put one in my hand. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Just be on a word off. So I haven't seen him. Just go look around there.
Yeah.
See if he turns up. No, that's good. That's good. Let me see. Got a couple more questions, which were, what are the most transferable skills from like your own sort of life or previous work that you think have helped you most in your property journey?
Just like, I think because I used to be in marketing, it's definitely the project management side of it.
Oh yeah.
Project management, it's just different. It's just different industry, but it's the same. It's like it's the same skill, project management. But that, spreadsheets and all that stuff.
It's just trying to tie everything together, like having so many moving parts, and just trying to keep them all working together.
When I first started it, I was like, oh, I think, like, guys, what we're going to do, the trades, I was like, we're going to all download these apps onto our phone, and then I'm going to communicate to you, like, with a project.
Oh, like with like Trello or one of those sort of.
Yeah, Monday.com. I was like, this is going to be, like, honestly, this will be live. Yeah,
this will be great. And they're looking at you like, they literally probably know, like kids, like kicking each other under the table. Like, is she having a laugh?
But I'm still using it, but they're not. I have to either, like, WhatsApp them, text them, call them, depending on who it is, you know what I mean, or take an email.
Exactly. You know, some people that are going to take an email, some people that have never looked at their email, it's literally just there if they want to send you an invoice or
yeah, you want to send a group message, you can't because everyone's on something different.
Yeah, no, it's a learning curve, and I think, look, in an ideal world, somebody's going to come up with a system that works at some point in time, but I'm yet to find them. I'm sure on the 9th of December, we're going to hear Tej complaining a lot more because, you know, Tej seems to be the #1 conflict resolution with builders.
Yeah. I'm amazed he gets anyone to work for him now.
Listen, I'm surprised as well. But he's got a way with words. He's a nice enough guy, you know. You just need to understand the nuances of Tej. So for those that have enjoyed today's conversation, I think there are a few tickets still available if you check either Tej Talks or James Shota's Instagram. I know they've got the link in the bio to the event, which is going to be in London on the 9th of December. Have I got that right?
I think it's thepropertyevent.co.uk.
See, look, star, thepropertyevent.co.uk to get a ticket for that event. This is also going to be on, you know, probably on the Amazon podcast / Apple podcast. If you're just tuning in now and want to catch the full episode later on, you can do so. For those that aren't watching us on Instagram and have caught this later, can you give us your exact socials so people can come and find you and give you a follow?
Yeah, I'm at Accidental Female Developer on Instagram.
Amazing. So I appreciate everybody that's joined us today. Hopefully everybody's got some value out of today's session. Charlotte, I appreciate you for coming on. I'm going to see you in person on the 9th. Everybody have a happy Sunday and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.